This is the take from two news sources. One is in Canada, CBC, and the other is Yahoo. Rocket hit Kiev TV tower as Russia steps up attack on major Ukraine cities. And the Ukraine president accuses Moscow of blatant campaign of terror. And the Russian people face a catastrophic catastrophe, as the ruble crashes and sanctions bite. This is how one man is helping fellow African students in the Ukraine. Canada to petition the ICC to probe alleged Russian war crimes, says Jolie. And there's a video by Kharkiv residents described life under the Russian attack. And the Russian UN agency says it's too early to start resettling Ukraine refugees. In other news, nations agreed to release 60 million barrels of oil as Russia's invasion puts pressure on energy costs. So Russia, if you don't know already, supplies about 40% of Europe's oil, so they could also shut off the taps there. And that could be a catastrophe for Europeans, and also put a pressure on NATO to withdraw or not pressure Russia. So, in other news, let's see what's at the top of the news in regard to the Ukraine. But in Canada, another 169 potential graves were found at a site at former residential schools. So in Canada, Native people or Indigenous people were forced to go to schools to assimilate to Canadian culture, and while doing that, over the course of years, number of students died, and instead of having the remains sent back to the families, they were just buried, sometimes in unmarked graves. In this case, there's 169 people in this school called Gorand Mission. So it's a residential school northwest of Edmonton. And also in the news, Equalt says boil water advisory likely to last several days. They're already on 6 months to boil their water in the Nunavut capital. So they're just going to be continuing. And again, this is from recent news that Russian forces fired at Kiev TV tower and Ukraine's main Holocaust memorial. So amongst other civilian sites targeted Tuesday, killing 5 civilians, Ukraine officials said. And other news related to the Ukraine, why these Russians are living in Canada have joined protests supporting the Ukraine. And I think it's Russian missiles pound Kharkiv in Ukraine. Kharkiv residents describe life under the Ukraine attack, as we mentioned. And I think this is mostly the updates on the Ukraine news. And let's just see what they're saying for Yahoo News. And Yahoo's saying, let's see if we can get it. Okay, here we go. Sanctions against Russia went from toothless to devastating overnight as its economy began collapsing. Here's the timeline. So Putin's war is devastating the financial fortunes of Russians for the second time in a generation. And we'll see what else. U.S. sanctions against Russia will limit its access to technology from overseas. And the UK to impose financial sanctions against Russia's central bank. Wow, a lot of attacks for going against Russia at this time. Okay, this is all the updated news for the Ukraine. The Ukraine needs weapons, the ambassador to U.S. says. Bay Area family from Kyiv holds on to hope as Russia forces attacks. So a lot of related news where residents overseas are lending their opinion. If you want to take it and other dictator lessons Putin learned from Hitler, Randall Kondra says the failure to prevent Vladimir Putin from invading Ukraine recalls the West powers facing Adolf Hitler in the 1930s. Big comparisons. And also in the news, Putin claims he was forced to invade the Ukraine. And then There's another article, What's Next in Ukraine? 3 Possible Scenarios. And Ray Burisma says, Little can be done about dictators. Another article, inspired by the bravery and sacrifice seen in the Ukraine protest. And in financial news, it looks like Russia is extremely likely to default on debts if Ukraine crisis worsens, IIF. And okay, I think that's about it. So thank you for joining me for this live update about the Ukraine. Please keep your prayers for the Ukraine people. There's many Christians in the Ukraine who are praying. They need your support. So if you can send a prayer to them, there's also some downloads to watch some videos, or we'll try to find some updates where you can see some Ukraine Christians asking and pleading, or you can just hear them praying or singing, calling on God to help them. Thank you so much. Have a great day.